Hey everybody, welcome to a special edition of Performance Anxiety on Tour. This week we welcome Jay Aston of Jay Aston's Gene Loves Jezebel. They're on tour, and Jay spent his day off speaking with me about his influences, touring with the Alarm in Modern English this summer, the Madden video game curse, and how they've been affected by the Universal Music Vault fire. Follow Jay Aston's Gene Loves Jezebel on social media. Follow us at Performance ANX on Twitter and Instagram. Our merchandise is at performanceanx.threadless.com. And here's a very mobile Jay Aston from Jay Aston's Gene Loves Jezebel.
Hey, this is Jay Aston from Jay Aston's Gene Loves Jezebel. You're listening to Performance Anxiety.
So you're currently on tour. I really do appreciate you taking time on one of your days off to talk with me.
Yeah, well, that's what we got to do, Mark.
Yeah.
we're on the move all the time. So yeah, it's we appreciate it's two-way.
Well, like I said, you guys are currently on tour with the
Alarm in Modern English.
Yeah, that's got to be a great show, man. That's like right up my alley. That's when I was growing up, you guys are the bands I was listening to.
Yeah, it is, and we all get along well too. We're all different enough, we're not. We offer a different color for everyone who comes to see us, and it's working out really well.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear. So often you hear when you get a show that could be three headliners, they don't always get along so well.
Well, we're all older and wiser, and some of us are better looking. So.
Well, all right. So what I wanted to do is find out a little bit more about you and where you got to, or how you got to where you are now with the band.
Wow. It's a long story.
Well, that's what this whole show's about. I like getting some behind the scenes stories and hearing some fun stuff that happened, in the 30 some odd years that you guys have been playing.
Doing it. Right. Yeah.
So you're originally from Wales, correct?
I'm from South Wales. Yeah. We formed the original band came up from Wales to London. Yeah. And I just had this idea to get a gig in London, get an agent, and get a record deal. And so I made this plan, find a place to play where I knew it would be covered by the music press. And weird enough, all those things happened really quickly. So I went up to London, found an agent, played this gig, got a record deal, and here we are.
Man, if I was reading this correctly, originally the band wasn't called Gene Loves Jezebel.
It's called Slav Aryan. The original lineup was called Slav Aryan. It's a name I made up, just mixing. It kind of means Welsh for good money, but I like the idea of Slav and Aryan. Always been an egalitarian enterprise, Gene Loves Jezebel, in my opinion. So that's why I try to make it.
How did you come up with Gene Loves Jezebel? Where did that come from?
Well, as I said, we went up to London. I got a gig at a place called the ICA, which is on the Mall in London, and that was the one gig in London at that time in the early 80s, 1980, which the music press used to cover. Even if you were unheard of, if you got on that bill, you'd be covered.
Oh, wow.
So I managed to get a job there and gave the tape to the guy putting it on, and they liked it. But we didn't have a name because we come up from Wales. The original drummer didn't want to travel up. He was studying in college. And so we thought we'd have a new name. And they used to get a famous artist, in this case Joe Stalin, to do the poster that year. The theme was Big Brother or something. And he wanted a name for the band. And I was like, just trying to think, what shall I do? Because all the bands at that time were very dark. There was like Bauhaus, Theatre of Hate, Killing Joke, all those kind of bands. Oh, yeah. And I was trying to think of something a bit more colourful. So I thought of three names, have love in there somewhere. And John Lennon had just been shot. And the rock and roll album, I always liked that rock and roll album. One of the songs on there was Bebop Beluga by Gene Vincent.
Yes.
And I thought that represents rock and roll in its purest form. There's no fat in it. It just gets to the point and it's beautiful. And I wanted our band to be like that. So I thought Gene, and I was given the name Jezebel by a film student, basically, who just thought my name was Jezebel for some reason. And I think it was down to my Welsh accent. I was introduced as J.P. Aston or something, and he just heard it as Jezebel.
Oh, wow.
So that's fine. And so I thought, Gene loves me. So Gene Loves Jezebel.
And who... Well, who were your influences when you guys started playing? The band was started off as you and your twin brother, and then Ian Hudson, right?
Yeah, that was me and Hudson, a drummer called Steve Snowy White, or was it? I can't remember his last name, Steve. And I made a bass for my good friend of mine, Steve Bass. We all came up to London, and two of them didn't make it all the way through, but yeah, and our influences with all bands have different influences. I was mainly influenced by singers, to be honest with you. That's my main thing. I love singers. And that would be anyone from, anyone who's done anything original. And that can be from Bob Dylan to Ian Curtis to, Tim Buckley and a million others. We just, we're all at different influences. And some of the influences are bands like Can or Neu from Germany and all the way through to whatever was happening at that time, which would have been Pill, Susie and the Banshees, and The Cure, and all those kind of bands at that time too.
It's kind of the darker bands.
Darker bands, but I've always loved melodies, so I like to sing a song, So I remember Phil Spector's, the Ronettes, and all those bands influenced me a lot too. And Janis Joplin, anyone that could hold a tune. I was into songs, and that's why I like Dylan a lot when I was growing up, and tons of records really. I like Led Zeppelin when I was growing up a lot.
Oh, okay.
Beach Boys. When I was a kid, Beach Boys were a massive influence on me because Pet Sounds and stuff like that I loved as a kid. And obviously we had the Beatles. And there's so much great music out there. The Bee Gees, tons of stuff,
Oh yeah, there really was, and I could definitely hear some of that influence in the harmonies and all in Gene Loves Jezebel's music.
We love that. I love singing with James Stevenson on guitar because he naturally does a nice third or fifth, and I like the tone of his voice. Peter Buck Rizzo plays bass guitar and sings keyboards with us too, and he does a lot of pre-production stuff for us. He's become a really good singer, and he can actually do some of the difficult parts I have to sing. He does them, and people don't even know it's him singing, so it's great.
Oh wow!
Which is fantastic. So he's covered. Before I'd have to sing something like Desire, I'd have to do all the vocals. Even though the videos might look like other people singing, it's actually me doing all the vocals.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so live, I'd be doing all those parts, which is quite weird to do. But now I can mix it because Pete and James sing, and it's much better. And of course, these days, a lot of the audience sings too. So
yeah, I noticed that. I was looking up some of the videos on YouTube of the tour that you're currently on. Some fans upload videos during the show, and. You got a lot of audience participation.
Yeah, well, there's melody. When there's melody, you can sing, And those songs meant a lot to me when I wrote them, or to Pete and me, or James when we wrote them, and even my brother on occasion. And, and so it's wonderful that people have that connection to those songs. It's wonderful. And to make a new album, like Dance of the War, I just been talking to someone where that album means so much to, because they were in the Northern California fires, and they would listen to Charmed Life all the time as the different... digging through the debris,
Oh yeah.
We did a tour in Germany, and a couple that never heard of us before. We played with the Mission UK, and they came up to me after and said, "How do you say goodbye to someone you love? They'd lost a child."
Oh wow.
And how much that song meant to them. So to be able to write, and I wrote that with Pete, to be able to write songs like that and have someone as talented as James Stevenson playing guitar in it, Tony Visconti, obviously David Bowie, T-Rex doing strings. It's amazing. So we're amazing to be in this part of our life. We've lost so many friends and lovers, and so much bad stuff is happening on the planet. To be able to be creating and doing this today, and 2019 in the summer, and touring the USA is an amazing feeling.
Well, one of the things that I really liked about watching the videos is your interaction with the audience, because you're very sharp. You've got a very good sense of humor,
thank you.
And you're interacting with the fans, inviting them to come up on stage and sing, and it's really interesting. Has that always been the case with you guys?
I've always had a sense of humor. Singers are weird things, really. They've usually got really good senses of humor, most singers, I think. And but when I first started, I was probably much shyer. And probably didn't speak too much to the audience, and probably a lot more mystique to what I was trying to put across. And as I've got older and wiser, and not worry about what people think, how I dance or how I sing or anything, I'm freer. So I have a lot of fun with the audience. And, there's some sharp-witted people out there who make me laugh, and you know, I'm from a working class background where banter is a big part of it. And you get good. I'm from a large family.
Oh,
and
gosh,
you have to be quick on your feet, you know. So
yeah, your improv skills are sharp. I'll tell you that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, that's it's lucky because it's the time of the evening I'm awake that time. In the morning I'm not so sharp.
Yeah, I'm getting you right at the right time tonight.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
So when you first started playing music, how old were you? And did you start playing with? Were you and your brother immediately playing together?
No, my brother. I don't like to be mean, but he was not remotely interested in music till he was about 14 or 15.
Okay.
I was interested in music from the age of about 5. I can remember singing at 5 and knowing I wanted to be a singer from a very, very young age. The school wanted me in the choir to sing in the choir, but my school was so tough you'd get beaten up from being in the choir, so I didn't do it. So unfortunately, but music, and I would wake up every day as a kid. I'd always be singing melodies, and one of the most joyful days of my life was when I realized how good my range was. I'd never, I'd be listening to all these records like Good Vibrations, the Beach Boys and things, and one day just I'd sing sometimes to music. Some bands would make music and there'd be no vocals in there. Maybe they couldn't think of any parts, and I would sing parts along to that music. And I just remember just hitting one note one day and thinking, oh my God, I can really sing. And I saw, if you listen to the earliest records, you could tell I can hear that obviously I can sing from the beginning. The voice has always been there, So if you're Upstairs on the first tune, that's my song on the first album. Let me sing it. I'm fully contained, which is amazing when I look back on it. So I was always very sure of myself as a singer. I'm very, very shy in many other ways, especially when I was younger. But I knew I could sing, and I knew I could blow anyone away as a singer. So it was tough for me to be with my brother because, I didn't like his voice.
Okay.
I didn't think he could sing. So he had other qualities, but I didn't like singing with him, and I was trying to get to the microphone half the time and he'd be in my way. And if you watch any of those videos, I move a lot around stage. I need a lot of space, and I'd have someone there constantly looking for attention, getting in my way, basically, which is an awful thing to say. And we had to split, and I said, you do your thing, I'll do mine, and good luck. And off he went, and he got a big record deal with Virgin Records. Got all the breaks you could possibly get, and then they worked out that maybe he wasn't quite as good as he thought he was. So we just carried on doing what we're doing.
I've seen that a lot with bands with brothers, and like going back to Everly Brothers, and then
Sure.
Black Crowes and Oasis. And
sure.
It's but you hear a lot about how twins have this connection, but it sounds
That's
like
a myth.
Maybe that's all bullshit.
That's a myth. That's all. Let's save it for the talk show.
Yeah.
That's certainly. I feel no connection to him in that way. I just think he's a very mean, nasty person. He's not remote. We're not connected in any way at all. Everything he does, I do the opposite. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do anything he does. So I love people. I don't jump on them and try to rip them off. And I don't talk behind their backs. If I got anything bad to say, it's right here on the radio for you to hear.
There you go.
Or on your podcast.
Well, that's awesome.
I don't have to hear it secondhand or hear it from, drunken, barrages that he has against me. The nonsense I hear he talks about me. I wish him happiness and health. He needs both of those things. So.
Well, back in the early days. You were touring with artists like John Cale and David Bowie.
Sure, right. Well, they were in the early days. We worked with John Cale in New York, and we did a gig with him in London.
Okay.
And Bowie was the first gig we did as a 4-piece when my brother left. So we did cover gigs with Bowie, which is awesome, obviously.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So what was the question?
I guess I wanted to know is there anything strange that happens backstage? Anything that that surprised you when you're touring with guys like Bowie or doing shows with somebody of the stature of John Cale?
Well, most bands, especially in those early days, you keep yourselves to yourselves, to be honest. You're not really hanging out and having a cigarette together or a beer. so it's not touring in that sense. Even when we toured with the New Order and Echo and the Bunnymen, which was a pre-Lollapalooza,
Oh, wow, yeah.
That even with those guys, we didn't really mix with them. Much as we'd like to mix, we were very sociable. They were kind of into cocaine and all that kind of stuff, which is keeps you in your in your hotel room and away from people in the dark corners of the clubs. We're very outgoing. We like to dance and sing and hang out with girls and have fun. So we're a very different kind of band to that. So, but we've travelled with bands before and had fun. Though. Lots of musicians had fun, but not in those cases. No, not the most famous ones. They've been very. Well, it's tough, Listen, you got to remember they've got to stay up there. They're paranoid, and it's a constant battle to stay famous and relevant. And it's funny to watch, really, from the outside. But to them, they spend to the day they die trying to be, the man in the star in the sky. It's funny. It's sad, really, but that's what it's like. They're just trying to stay ahead.
Yeah,
try to stay relevant.
And it's amazing what people will do to stay relevant.
Yeah, it's shocking, really.
Unfortunately, you experience it firsthand, and but I want to go back to a live show that I saw. I've seen a couple of live clips, and a few of them you mentioned Pittsburgh Steelers. So I was wondering if you're a sports fan.
I love team sports. Yeah, I do. I'm interested in all team sports. I'm fascinated to see any 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 15 players against 15, whatever it is.
Oh, wow.
I do like it. I like the Steelers. The good thing about American football is I didn't know much about it when I first came over here. I just didn't understand it. Like, what's wide receiver, loose end, tight end, what's all that about? What's you do with, all the moves they were making, the reverse, whatever.
Yeah, going into motion.
Backfield in motion, all that stuff. What the hell are they talking about? But I learned the rules from Nintendo, John Madden.
Oh, wow.
So once I learned the rules, I thought, oh my God, this is like, this is science and also thuggery, It's brutal and yet it's chess,
Yeah, exactly.
So I loved it, So my first team I adopted was because the Raiders were in LA at the time, so I adopted them as a team. But I don't support one team. The Rams I followed recently because they moved to LA.
Yeah,
and I've been in LA. But I like the Steelers, and I like a lot of different teams for different reasons. I'm a bit bored with New England winning everything.
Oh, yeah, I can understand that.
But I like, it's great. Sport is like theatre, isn't it? It's like music. It's exciting. There's so many weird endings. You don't know what's going to happen. So many pivotal moments, and so many tragedies involved with it too. It's amazing. So yeah, I do like sport. Yeah.
Do you buy into the John Madden curse at all, where the whoever's on the cover of the video game gets injured the next year?
I didn't know. I didn't know that. No.
Oh yeah, it's a big thing.
Wow, who's on it this year?
I think Patrick Mahomes might be. He's from the Chiefs.
He'd be worried.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a big thing that people have refused to be on the cover of the video game because they're afraid that they're going to get a career-ending injury.
Well, there's a lot of superstition. Humans get naturally human superstitions, aren't they? There wouldn't be religion unless there was superstition. That's a natural human thing to need something to believe in.
Do you have any superstitions? Speaking of that, do you have any superstitions?
I think all humans do to some degree, but do I do anything?
Like before you go on stage, you have to eat something.
No, I don't do anything at all. No, nothing at all.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm too worried about my voice to have superstitions. I just don't talk too much. That's why I tend to do these interviews on days off.
That makes perfect sense, and that actually segues into a question I did have for you. You've been singing since the very early '80s professionally. How do you keep your voice in shape?
Well, I used to smoke 2 packs of I used to smoke 2 packs of Marlboros Reds a day in the '80s and into the early '90s. So. That wasn't very smart. And I used to drink too much wine, which wasn't very smart either.
Oh, wow.
But, so I just got rid of all those things I was a slave to. I'm a slave to none of those things anymore. And, there was a period I just stopped believing in doing music, to be honest. Probably that's why we were quiet for a while. And I just got it back, I just started loving singing again. I think, weird enough, I was in Atlanta, or Augusta actually, staying with a friend doing some recording. And I heard a record by Suede. This is going way back. And I thought, oh my God, that guy's actually singing. And because it was a period of people going, oh man, I'm your man, I love this, I love that, all that stuff.
Yeah.
With all the grunge stuff was happening. And there's some good singers involved there, obviously, but a lot of it was a lot of bullshit fun, really.
Oh, yeah.
But to hear someone sing, I was like, oh, wow, you can sing. And that kind of woke me up. So I kind of threw the cigarettes away and went through this process of just regaining my voice. I play guitar. I don't think I'm a very good guitar player, but I love playing it.
Okay.
And when I'm playing, like Pete Bugrizzo on bass is a great guitar player, and James is a great guitar player. But I write songs, strum a few chords, and I like finger picking and stuff. But it's just the joy. You don't have to be king of any instrument. Just enjoy it. Strum a few chords. So much joy in music, in life, really. So, my other joy is hiking and walking, which I walk 15, 20, 30 miles a day sometimes if I can.
Oh, my gosh.
So I just love being out there and, I haven't got time to watch video games generally. That's why I wasn't so familiar with the John Madden.
So you're not playing Madden football anymore?
No, I always think I should be playing guitar or reading or be out there. I like being outdoors most of the time. So...
let's see, what were you doing between Thornfield sessions and Dance Underwater?
Well, basically what happened around 2000 or 2003, I can't quite remember. What basically happened, my mum died, I lost my place in LA, someone did something bad, landlord thing, and my girlfriend left me, it's not a bad run. And then all these, my brother started using the name, and so now we're Jay Aston's Gene of Jezebel in the US, but at least people know it's us now instead of, going to see Gene of Jezebel and going to see him and whoever happens to be on stage. And it's made a very difficult struggle. As I said, I lost faith in music a bit, and I stopped smoking and did all that thing, stopped drinking. And I got a job at Apple, it's where I was teaching sometimes staff, but often people to use Macs, to use Logic or Photoshop and all those things. And a couple of hours teach them how to use GarageBand, for instance, or GarageBand, as you guys say. Play some stuff, take some stuff, and show them how easy it's part of a revolution, really. And it was the first big store Apple had in Europe, and they kind of handpicked about 200 people to work there, and I was one of them.
Oh, wow.
So it was easy. So I only worked a few days a week, and it was they paid well enough where I could continue writing and get back on my feet and get my voice back. And another thing happened too. There was a guy early on that played with us he's a Belgian musician who's part of all the kind of European techno music from the 80s and early 90s, like Front 242 and stuff like that, called Jean-Marc Lieberman.
Yes.
And he's done lots of music, and he just said, Jay, will you do, he just happened, and I was still smoking at that stage with him, he just happened to send me an email, says, oh, Jay, I really like you to sing this Rolling Stones song. He doesn't know the Rolling Stones, really. I love the song, so he's known them.
Okay.
And he sent me Moonlight Mile, and I said to him, you sing, and I did it with another early member of the band called Julianne Reagan, who I got into the band to play bass. And she wanted to form a band called All About Eve, who can make pretty famous in Europe and the UK.
Yeah,
and I think they had kind of a minor hit out here with Martha's Harbour. So she's a beautiful singer, and she wanted to do it as well. So we did that song, and that kind of made me go, oh yeah.
And the rain feels cold with a head full of snow, with a head full of snow. In the window, there's a face, don't the nights pass slow, don't the nights pass slow.
And she loved it, and I got so many compliments from the people I played with, begging me to play guitar and etc. They liked it so much. So I was like, oh yeah, maybe. So I basically much dropped out. I didn't really have same as Pete, I think we both just decided we'd have enough of this music business and just got out of it, you know. And then that woke me back up again, you know, and got me interested in it. And then with that, I remember Pete sending me some stuff that he was working on, which I really liked, you know, and because we both come from different musical kind of backgrounds, really.
Okay.
And so I went up to York, and you know, he produced a thing we called Ugly Bugs, and so that got us just writing all these songs. And I mean, a couple of those songs, James Stevenson came to see us live, and he said, "We got to do some of these songs for a new Gene Loves Jezebel album," and that's what happened with Dance Underwater, you know. And so we did How Do You Say Goodbye to Someone You Love.
So how do you say goodbye to someone you love? How do you say goodbye to someone you love?
And Summertime and Dance Underwater from Ugly Bugs songs, basically.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I was doing. That whole period is, you know, just like a phoenix rising out of the ashes, I suppose. I look at it. If you want to go classical.
There you go. And you've funded Dance Underwater through Pledge Music.
Yeah. Well, as I said, we weren't that active, as we said, between Dance Underwater and Thornfield.
Right.
What happened is we'd always get together. We'd always been doing art festivals in South America, or especially in Portugal, where we sold a lot of records. And that would happen once or twice a year. We'd always get together, and everyone would get really hammered. We'd have a great time. You know, we'd play like an hour and a half and do 2 or 3 encores and be like, "Oh my God, we're such a great band. We should make a record." And then everyone would get on the flights the next day, go back to New York or London or York, or me back to LA or wherever it was, London time. And that'll be the last year until next year.
Yeah.
And then about 3 years ago, I said, "Look, guys, you say this to me all the time. Let's try to do it properly. Let's fund it and get Peter Walsh, who did Desire and House of Dolls and all those songs which we loved. We loved working with them. And we'll use a proper studio." And we used Barry Barlow's studio. He's a brilliant, innovative drummer from Jethro Tull. And he was awesome. He really helped us finish the album. He helped us on the budget and stuff. And we got the fans involved, and they luckily Pledge Music was up and running then and vibrant. And we were very lucky because my friend Marty Wilson Piper from the church and Olga from Skinny Puppy, they both suffered Pledge Music going down before their projects were finished.
Yeah.
Which is a drag, but we were lucky. So the fans got involved. Some of them came to the studio, listened to the rough mixes, and you know, it was just brilliant, you know. And so we managed to do it properly with a real studio, and it was expensive to do, but they came up with the bucks, and it was brilliant.
That's fantastic. See, I like hearing that because a friend of mine actually got screwed by Pledge Music too. Kelly,
so many.
Yeah, Kelly Scott from the band Failure.
Oh man,
they got
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, they got screwed. Actually, yeah, they lost out on like $60,000, and everybody else lost out on everything they pledged for.
They didn't get anything. No, I'm sorry to hear that.
Now, the good part is that they managed to record the album and get the files out actually through Pledge Music. But when it came time to do physical stuff, they'd gone under.
Goodness. Oh man.
Yeah, Pledge Music was a debacle for a lot of folks.
It's terrible.
Yeah, Swerve Driver and Failure, I know they got screwed big time.
Oh man, Swerve Driver too. Yeah.
So between the 2003 Thornfield sessions and Dance Underwater, you actually appeared on stage with the Smashing Pumpkins. How did that happen? Did they call you up and just invite you, or?
Yeah, it's a weird one. That's I'd met Jeff Schroeder through Joel Patterson, who plays drums with us a lot in the last 20 years. Okay. Often we switch drummers between Chris Bell and Joel. It depends where we are, you know. But Joel's been doing a lot the last few years. And I did a thing with Tommy Black, who plays bass with Scott Weiland before he passed away, obviously.
Oh, right, yeah.
And he was doing a solo thing, and he asked me to play bass for it, which is an unusual thing to do. And I said, sure. And when I went down to rehearse, Jeff Schroeder was there. And but he didn't last long because Jeff's an amazing guitar player, but he got a call from Billy Corgan to join the Smashing Pumpkins.
Wow.
So that was my connection Joel knew Jeff, and they were always in contact, and I'd see Jeff on occasion, but Joel's close friend of Joel's. And so one of these days, suddenly Jeff said, Joel called me and said, Jeff is asking, would you like to come to London? Would you like to step up in London with Smashing Pumpkins and coming to town? And Billy's a big fan, and would you love to do Stephen? Because he's got a Mellotron, and he'd love to play along to it.
Oh, man.
And I said, sure, that would be wonderful. And so I got up and I said, it could be good if James Stevenson could come too, and he loved that idea too. But apparently they used to come and see us when we played in Chicago in the early days of the Pumpkins, when they were just forming.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a weird moment because the Gene Loves Jezebel's opening song in those days used to be Always a Flame. And Always a Flame, my brother would do the opening verse, and then I'd sing the bridges and the choruses.
Okay.
And apparently he was standing watching us with his band, with James, ER, etc., etc. And my brother started singing, and James and Billy Corgan said, that guy can't sing. then I started to sing, and he looked to his band and said, that guy can sing. And he said that in front of the whole London audience. So I was So that was a funny, bitter moment for him, my brother, I'm sure. But it was... So we got up, and it was already because people like my writing, because I do all the writing on the covers and all the rest of the Gene Loves Jezebel stuff,
Yeah.
I often do. I don't always do it. Sometimes I don't like to put all my stuff over things. And I hadn't sung Stephen for such a long time. I wrote all the lyrics so he could know them as well, so he could sing along with it too. And as soon as I left the stage, he picked up the lyrics, put in his pocket.
Oh wow!
Because people like the way I write, so. Yeah, so they collect it. So
yeah,
funny.
And
so
if being a fan of a band, if that's that's something that I would want as well. Even if I'm the guy on stage, I'm definitely picking that up as a souvenir.
That's true enough. True. If Bob Dylan was to give me some of his handwritten lyrics, I'd be quite happy.
Oh yeah, exactly. And it's funny because I can definitely hear your influence, especially on songs like Stephen, in some of the Pumpkins' especially the earlier work.
Sure, yeah. I think Immigrant Album is a big influence on a lot of those bands. So I've heard that from several bands of that. That era that followed, just all of us. Yeah, quite a few of them have said to me, "Oh, we love love that album." So yeah, that's good. It's funny because that was actually going to be the next question. Is that do you get that a lot? Maybe newer bands saying as we're getting older now. As I get into my late 20s. No, we've had I might have had things from Lady Gaga and obviously loads of people have said it much. I mean, I'm the bass player from Weird Enough. I forgot the name of the band. It's terrible to see so many bands.
It's tough getting your late 20s, man.
Yeah, it is. I could give you some 70s band. This was what I'm going to say. What was the name of the band? Sparks liked us a lot. They went in print and said how much they liked us.
Oh, cool.
Which is cool. Obviously, Come Over to My House is a classic.
Now,
and who else? What band that came and got drunk with us on the bus from Chicago? Very famous band, brilliant live band. No, American band. Cheap Trick.
Oh yeah. Oh
so
wow.
The bass player came on. It's just they just loved us. It's funny because I went to see. Cheap Trick weren't that big in England. I Want You to Want Me was a big hit for them.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't over here. But I remember being in the late 80s or early 90s, seeing Simple Minds, Susan the Banshees, and Cheap Trick. And Cheap Trick were phenomenal, by far the best live band,
Yeah.
I was quite amazed. But what a great live band they were, So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah. Now, when you guys, early on, you guys did like we had talked about a little bit early in this show, was doing a session with John Cale.
Right.
Now, I read that some of the Gene Loves Jezebel stuff was destroyed in that 2008 fire at Universal.
So I heard, yeah.
Was that stuff included in that? Because that's never been released, has it?
No, never has. I should imagine. I think tapes have gone out there where we put tapes out because we had it on cassettes, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I think because you're the second person to tell me, I think that all that's been destroyed because Beggars was our label in England. Generally didn't make safety copies, so that would have been that would be the end of that.
That's.
But I mean, it was an interesting session. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, John Cao's a legend. He's from Wales as well, obviously, and for us, it was a chance to go to New York and hang out with them with the Velvet Underground. We'd never been on an airplane before. They'd not been to New York, so that was just great fun, you know. And it was, I mean, very over the top and very rock and roll excessive, as you can imagine, for that period. I mean, I'm not a drug guy or anything, but believe me, that was a time when you couldn't avoid just anything. So we didn't get too much recording. I didn't do any vocals. I ended up playing bass because the bass player missed the session because the flight got cancelled. Got to go to Philadelphia and he couldn't get to New York in time. And, didn't do any vocals. And so it's an interesting session, but it was crazy. We were staying at the Iroquois Hotel, which at that time was the rock and roll hotel, but it was very much Cockroach City.
Oh, geez.
And filthy, and you know, we didn't know anything about America. This was New York. We look at TV, and the signal was terrible because of all the high buildings. We didn't know that. All the cars, the pizzas were 10 times the size of ours, and you know, MTV was on, and Van Halen were on it, and it was like,
oh gosh,
we would go to clubs, illegal clubs, at 5 a.m. that looked like totally, you know, state of the art premises. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
An experience, you know. So the recording was probably secondary to all that, just our introduction to the US.
I'll wrap this up because I don't want to keep you guys too long. I know I've kept you quite a while already. So Dance Underwater came out in 2017, right? Mm. Is there new music on the way?
Oh, I write every day, you know. Pete writes every day. We're the kind of band where literally I can strum it and I'd sing a few notes and we're away, you know. So yeah, I mean, we plan on doing something. At the minute, obviously, we're touring. And I'm just to tour and theatre around the US after this. Once I finish this tour in mid-September, I'll be going mid-October to mid-November on my own. And
okay.
So we're touring next year in Europe. So, you know, we'll hopefully, maybe we can do something this spring, hopefully. We'll see. We'll have to find a way of funding it, of course. But there'll be a way, I'm sure. That
would be fantastic. I know fans are going to love it. I'm looking forward to it. So hopefully we can get something going and not have a Pledge Music debacle.
Hope not, yeah. No, we think because some good. I mean, I play some acoustic things of my own at the minute, and I've got them earmarked for the band as well, and people really like them. So just acoustically, you know, I did a gig opening for a band called Balaam and the Angel in London. It was fantastic, and I played all new songs, and one or two of them were people like, "Oh my God, you got to do that song!" So that's it. You know?
Cool. So you have
all the gigs so far have been so fantastic. It's amazing. We're playing such nice, cool places. It's been brilliant. You know?
Oh yeah, and you're getting great crowd participation too.
Yeah. Well, we give them 100%. I mean, my solo stuff is introverted, and all the rest of it. The Juno's Jezebel stuff for me is all about high energy. You know.
Oh yeah.
Just getting out of your skin and leaving your body, and just enjoying it. You know, it's just putting a lot out there. Yeah.
Where can people follow you guys on social media and find out some tour dates and what's going on with the band?
Yeah, well, GeneLovesJezebel.co.uk. Don't go to the .com because that's my brother's.
Okay.
Steal. Or on FaceTime, Gene Loves Jezebel with Jay Aston. Twitter, I'm J_Aston at Jay Aston. Look for James Stevens. Just look for Gene Loves Jezebel with Jay Aston and you'll find us. Yeah. Put that in Google and everything will come up.
Awesome, Jay. Thank you so much for your time.
Mark.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave. Really appreciate it, Mark. I love the fact you knew a lot about us. That helps a lot.